Today, President Obama will continue his tour of two battleground states that are critical to his re-election campaign. The president will head to Pennsylvania after campaigning in Ohio, but the Romney campaign is hot on his heels, announcing it broke a fundraising record and sending two high-profile Republicans to shadow the president's tour. Mitt Romney himself has been making news while on vacation. He discussed why the health care law he enacted in Massachusetts is different from the Supreme Court's decision on the president's law, while Romney's wife revealed a bit of information about his possible VP candidate. Joining us from Washington, D.C. is MJ Lee, reporter for Politico. MJ, good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
And while the president is on this two-day tour, what's the message he's trying to get out to voters?
Sure. You know, the president going on this bus tour through Ohio and today in Pennsylvania is an important step for him at a crucial time in the presidential campaign. It really gives him a chance to connect with middle-class voters, highlight his economic accomplishments, and also just draw some distinctions that he wants to make between himself and Mitt Romney.
He's campaigning in Pennsylvania and Ohio. These are two states that he won back in 2008. Why the emphasis on these states now?
You know, every battleground state is going to be important in the 2012 election. You know, each of the candidates are not willing to take either the states, Ohio and Pennsylvania, for granted.
The latest job numbers coming out a little bit later this morning. How much of a focus is this for the Obama campaign?
You know, voters are always going to say jobs and the economy is #1 priority. We have seen the jobs numbers. The unemployment rate, drop a little bit under President Obama's first term, but anything other than an unemployment rate that drops will be bad news for the president.
Over to the Romney campaign. In an interview with CBS News, he talked about the Supreme Court's decision on the Affordable Care Act. Here's what he said.
Well, the Supreme Court has the final word, and their final word is that Obamacare is a tax. So it's a tax. They decided it was constitutional, so it is a tax and it's constitutional. That's the final word. That's what it is. Now, I agreed with the dissent. I would have taken a different course, but the dissent wasn't the majority. The majority has ruled, and their rule is final.
But does that mean that the mandate in the state of Massachusetts under your health care law also is a tax?
Actually,
and that you raised taxes as governor?
Actually, the Chief Justice, in his opinion, made it very clear that at the state level, states have the power to put in place mandates. They don't need to require them to be called taxes in order for them to be constitutional. And as a result, Massachusetts mandate, was a penalty, was described that way by the legislature and by me. And so it stays as it was.
Whatever it is called, I mean, let me just move, whether it's a penalty, whether it's a tax, it means that Americans, if they don't have insurance, are going to pay something, whatever they call it.
You know, I made it very clear throughout my campaign, and actually while I was governor of Massachusetts, that the issue of the uninsured should be dealt with at the state level, and each state can create their own solutions to meet the needs of their people.
One of Romney's top campaign advisors said just the opposite of that earlier this week. Are voters going to buy Romney's argument?
You know, the health care law has been a really tricky issue for the Romney campaign this week. You know, the Supreme Court ruled that President Obama's individual mandate is a tax, but the White House has said that it's a penalty. Now, when Romney's senior advisor, Eric Fernstrom, as you mentioned, said this week in an interview that the individual mandate is a penalty, Republicans were confused as to exactly where the Romney campaign stands on this issue.
So with that confusion, where does the campaign stand right now? Did that do any damage?
Well, as we saw in the footage, you know, Romney came out and said, basically contradicting Eric Fernstrom, and said this actually is a tax. You know, the important thing for Romney to do at this point is to draw a distinction between the mandate that he enforced as governor of Massachusetts and the individual mandate that is being enforced under President Obama on a federal level.
Governor Bobby Jindal and Tim Pawlenty also out in Ohio to counter the president's message. Do their words have any impact in a battleground state like Ohio?
Sure. You know, for politicians like Bobby Jindal and Pawlenty to go out into battleground states as they're doing on Thursday, or as they did on Thursday and as they will do on Friday, that's an important thing for a campaign. It's an important way for the Romney campaign to get the candidate's message out. And it also is an important way for the Romney campaign to, you know, see how they do as surrogates and perhaps see how they might do as vice presidential candidates.
Hey, which is worth mentioning. Why these two? Is that any indication that these two may be vice presidential candidates?
You know, I think there are many names being floated at this point. The Romney campaign is not going to say this candidate or this potential candidate we are focusing on. But I think for any presidential candidate, it's important to say, and it's a smart move to say, frankly, you know, we're looking at a diverse number of candidates for to fill the potential spot on the ticket.
Speaking of diverse, Ann Romney said, or she told CBS News, that the campaign was potentially looking at a female running mate. Any idea who that would be?
Sure, you know, for Ann Romney to say that Mitt Romney is intent on looking at as many candidates as possible to be his running mate, that's a smart move. And to highlight that, you know, these candidates include female politicians, that's a clever move as well, especially for Mitt Romney, whose numbers among women have not been doing as well. I think New Hampshire Senator Ayotte is one of the names that are being mentioned.
Some conservatives think that Romney need to actually shake up the top of his campaign a little bit, talk about other issues other than just the economy. With all the money that his campaign is making, though, do these opinions even matter?
Sure. You know, Mitt Romney had some good news in terms of fundraising today. They found out that they had raised, along with the RNC, $100 million in the month of June. Now, this comes after May, when for the first time in the campaign, the Romney campaign outraised Obama. But this being said, President Obama is someone that was able to raise $150 million in the fall of 2008. So I think we're just going to see a lot of, you know, asking donors to really remember to donate, and that this is a crucial time in the campaign.
All righty. MJ Lee, reporter for Politico, joining us this morning. MJ, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.